Hello, everyone, and welcome to Look Ahead Now. Today, we have with us a fantastic guest, Mr. V. Krishnan. Mr. Krishnan is an independent consultant and executive coach since April 2023. He brings in 37 years of corporate experience, including 9 years as CHRO at Dabur and Havels. His focus areas include promoter C-suite alignment, HR strategy, talent management, and HR tech. He also works as a consultant with Stanford Seed. Being an engineer and MBA himself, Mr. Krishnan also mentors and coaches management and engineering professionals. So, hi Krishnan, welcome to Look Ahead Now.
Thank you. Thank you, Ekta. Pleasure talking to you.
Let's start with the first question. Um, and you have a very long experience in career coaching and training. So, what, according to you, is a foundational skill or attributes that you believe are essential for engineers at the start of their career?
Um I think one of the very important things that young engineers, when they come out of campus and especially the first couple of years of their corporate life, I think a very important trait to have is curiosity and inquisitiveness. Because what happens in an academic environment is, there is a very structured curriculum, a program, a very set 4 years, semester by semester, so there is a huge ecosystem which kind of herds you or shapes you into particular this things when direction.
Yeah.
When you come to a corporate environment, you have to have a very high level of self-governing and self-monitoring mechanism, and because there is nobody to kind of shepherd you, and so therefore I would say it begins with a lot of curiosity and inquisitiveness around the context of your organization, its business model, um, what are the products or services they are selling, what is high selling, what is low selling, what is not selling, what are the markets, who are the competitors, who are my customers, how does the company make money, what are the revenues, what are the costs, what are the margins and profits this company makes, because there is a context, because any private sector, any corporate entity is there to make profitable revenue growth
Yeah.
and meet the expectations of its shareholders and things like that. So this dimension of an organization, I don't think many engineering colleges cover it very very clearly.
Mm.
Some do offer some courses on engineering management and things like that. Some of them tend to be optional. Um, so therefore, a business understanding of your organization, the purpose of its existence, how it makes money, the role of different functions there. You may be in manufacturing or R&D or quality or maintenance or wherever you are. But there are other functions, like say a supply chain, marketing, sales, finance. So how do these various adjunct functions work with each other? I think all these things are very important to understand, the lay of the land. And more importantly, I would say a very important attribute one must have is, clarity on my own career path. Now that I've done my engineering, I've got into an organization through campus placement or otherwise. Now, how do I want to, where do I see myself? How do I, you know, you join in your early 20s, you got about 30, 35 years in front of you. So, how do you see yourself growing as a professional in this thing? And, at least some broad idea. So, these are two things I would say, like a lot of curiosity and inquisitiveness about the organization, its context, its business. And in that context, where do I see myself? How do I see my career and how do I want it to grow?
Correct. So, talking about career path, how important do you think it is for people who are entering the industry to have a long-term career vision? And what steps do you think they can take early on to define it and then pursue that path?
It is very important to have a career path because what happens, in typically in an Indian context, I think things have changed a lot from the time I did my engineering and MBA. But even today, there is this feeling that an engineering is your ticket to, career growth, economic prosperity, stability, and a good job and things like that. Which I'm not saying is a wrong this thing to have, But a lot of people tend to get into engineering. Many of them, I don't think they get into engineering because they want to do engineering. Many of them probably get into it because of either peer pressure or family pressures, or they don't know what else better to do. But anyway, good, bad, or ugly, now that you've done it and you've got into an organization, and you have become an engineering professional, now it's very important to know that, how, what am I going to do with this knowledge, and what am I going to add further to it, and where is it, where that do I want this to take me, right? So, I mean, do I want to grow vertically within the function I am this thing, or do I want to gather some cross-functional exposures, and develop myself more holistically for a larger, organization leadership role. So like, what is my passion? What interests me? Where does my heart lie? Those are certain questions one should start asking. Well, normally most large organizations will take you as a GET for the first 1 year. They train you, they put you across with certain functions. You're not really doing a very direct responsibility work. You're being groomed. It varies anywhere from 6 months to 12 months. So that gives you a good vantage point and a window to start, looking at, what do organizations offer to an engineer, and what do I want to do. And it's important to also, connect with people, not only in your industry, in your organization, with your other batchmates, maybe some of your seniors or alumni, and figure out what's happening in industry, what are career options, where does my heart lie, so that you at least start steering your thinking in the direction you want to move. Because unless
Yeah,
you have clarity on where you want to go, then then people either get carried away, they kind of go with the flow, and they land up in places where they probably are not enjoying their work. Well, it's very important to enjoy your work. It's to enjoy your work. You should know what your strength is, what your passion is, where I want to reach, and then you will intrinsically start working towards it.
correct. Yeah. And I want to bring back the point where you said that engineering colleges still do not train, the freshers or the new engineers entering the industry on important skills. So do you feel that the students are industry ready? And if not, what do you think they can do to, like the institutions as well as individually, what these students can do to be industry ready?
Look, I would say couple of things. First of all, in India, I know certain engineering colleges have taken the initiative to update their curriculums and are make them more industry ready and make them more relevant to today's this thing. But many of the core engineering areas, like like mechanical or electrical, and many of these courses, even today, the curriculum, the textbooks, etc., that are being recommended or used are still, which have been there for for very very long time. Now, I'm not trying to say that that's not important. It's important. Like, I'm a mechanical engineer, so I did my mechanical engineering almost, I mean, close to 40 years back. So, understanding theory of machines, machine design, strength of materials, thermodynamics, air conditioning, refrigeration, these things are important. These are fundamentals of the science and of what and why and how of engineering, which is important, right? It is like knowing the ABC of the field. But
And what do you think are some of the misconceptions about how you grow in an engineering career? And how can young engineers who are, very early on in their careers navigate those?
one of the very important things to keep in mind is, and this is especially true for people, for those engineering students who are academically good, you know,
Hmm.
because especially in an organization context, it is not all about academics and your scores, right? Um, your academics and your scores have been considered and taken care of in the selection time, right? There is a filtering process, either on a CV. Many organizations also do their own some kind of an online aptitude test and things like that. So your academic capability and engineering knowledge has already been taken care of. So whether you are a 9 pointer or a this thing, etc., once you're into the engineering, into the organization, that has, that brownie points you have already got, and that's how you're in. And so you should move out of that, that halo. Because what what you also need to keep in mind is most of our academic DNA, right from school to college, is primarily about individual excellence.
Yeah.
It's about scores. It's about who is the gold medalist and who is the topper and who is in the merit list. So the whole ecosystem is geared towards individual excellence and individual brilliance. While organizations don't operate like that. Organizations operate as a team. There is a very high level of collaboration required, uh, and therefore those engineering students and professionals to quickly understand in an organization that they need to learn to connect with people. They need to understand from other people's experience. There's a lot of experiential knowledge in an organization, what I would typically call tacit knowledge, which may not be explicit. So the more you're able to connect with people, understand from their experience what works here, what doesn't work here, and kind of learn through that osmosis process,
Mm.
and and learn the art of working in a team and getting things done, because there's so much work to be done in an organization. Individually you cannot do everything, right? So you need to learn the art of getting work done in a collaborative and teamwork way, where you also contribute and others also are open to helping you and supporting you. I think
Yeah.
that is one of the biggest I would say unlearning and relearning that people need to do when they get into an organization. It is not about your engineering capability or your academic excellence or your individual ability. It's your ability to work with people.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah. And how would you say like an engineer can balance some of the challenges that come, um, especially, I have spoken to a few engineers, and I always hear this, that they are always confused between whether you should they stick to like a specialization, or should they be sort of like jack of all trades, where you need a certain type of versatility to be in middle management or upper management position. So it's not just about your technical specialization there. How would you say somebody can navigate through that?
I think it's a combination of two things.
Mm.
The kind of organization you're working in and your own interest and passion. Like if you're working in a very a very technology driven product and services organization where engineering excellence is very critical,
Mm.
right? And or maybe you're in an R&D kind of a function, or an organization which has a lot of technology and engineering prowess on which it operates. So there obviously you have to keep learning and sharpening and upgrading your technical caliber.
Yeah.
Um, while there may also, so that may require that you keep reading more, you kind of uh, look up more of the every industry has its own journals, both domestic and
Mm.
international. Keep up to date on that, be members of some of these societies and this thing. I mean, be really on the cutting edge, on top of things, and involve yourself in really deep technical projects, so that you are there in the cutting edge of things. And at some point of time, if you feel like that you're just a B Tech or a B and you want to do your masters, I mean, take that extra effort, give a gate or whatever you want,
Yeah.
and take that break and do that. If that is so, it will be clear that engineering prowess and engineering speciality is what I want to pursue. There could also be a situation where you are in, I mean, you are in a collaborated company, or you are a MNC where a lot of the technology and core engineering work is done overseas, and here it's more about making the right product with the right quality at the right time and the right delivery. So it is more of management, managing complexity,
Mm.
uh, managing the team, and delivering as per your parent organization's guidelines. A lot of the well, most of the technology work is being done there. You're probably adapting it to the Indian context, right? So in that kind of a scenario, then you need to become what I would call something like someone like a specialized generalist. So you need to know about your area. If you're in production, you need to understand production engineering well.
Mm.
If you're in quality or technical function, you need to know your function well. But you need to also know if you need to know 50 feet about your area, you should know at least about 8 to 10 feet of the adjunct areas. So there, like it's also a good idea that, okay, I worked in production for some time, I'll work in quality for some time, I'll work in probably maintenance for some time, I'll work in product engineering for some time. So you groom yourself to tomorrow rise in that organization at a leadership level, where all these functions are going to report to me, and I need to play a more of a general management role.
Yeah.
Because here I may not have the ability or the time width or expectation that I should know everything about everything in great detail. So therefore, your own interest and the kind of work that your organization is doing, I think that would define whether you want to specialize or you
Hmm.
want to be a generalist.
And what about engineers who want to, transition from technical roles to leadership positions? What advice do you have for them for making that transition smoothly? Like, what skills are essential? It's basically going from engineering to management.
Yeah, look, there are look, as in any organization, you will start as an individual contributor where you're doing your work yourself. Then probably after some time, you'll become a kind of a team leader where you have one or two people reporting to you. Then you become a kind of a managerial person where couple of more people start reporting to you. Then you become a senior manager leadership role where managers start reporting to you, and there are who are heading departments and things like that. Now, one of the things you need to keep in mind is, just because an organization has elevated you, promoted you to a leadership role or a people manager role, doesn't mean that you become a leader. I mean, the organization can vest you with designation, with power, with authority, and position you, right? But it is important that, people should also accept you as a leader,
Exactly. Yeah.
you know, and people will accept you as a leader if they feel that they can learn and they can achieve more, and they can professionally also grow by working under you.
Hmm.
They see that working with you, working under you, working with you as a team leader is a value adding proposition for them,
Yeah.
right? So that is what brings in acceptability.
Hmm.
You know, just because I carry a designation as a manager or a senior manager with 4 5 people reporting to me, that is the organization's way of telling the system, vesting you with certain authority and power, and a certain maybe approval mechanisms or things like that, and positioning you. But you need to earn that following from your people, that they accept you as your leader,
Yeah.
and that will come by, I would say, things like your ability to you know uh, because your team will come to you with issues, with problems, some personal, some professional. So your ability to listen, to understand, and not just to
Hmm.
retort and reply. Your ability to assess the situation and not judge very quickly. Ability to assess, look at the
Hmm.
pros and cons. Your ability to uh, uh, coach and train your people and upgrade their skills,
Correct. Yeah.
so that they feel empowered, they feel confident of doing things themselves, and then facilitate their growth. Like you like
Hmm.
when you grow, similarly people under you also have aspirations to grow. So
Exactly.
what are you doing in facilitating their professional growth journey, giving them credit where it is due, giving
Hmm.
them the required exposure of their achievements where it is due. So when you start, detaching yourself from what's in it for me, and start looking at how can I make my team more competent, more empowered, more confident, uh, more adding to their learning requirements, contributing to their own professional growth. That's
Hmm.
when you start becoming a genuine leader. You have to move
Yeah.
away from what's in it for me.
Exactly. And uh, continuing from like giving credit where it's due, I think one of the problems that I have come across in my research is that a lot of engineers feel that they do not get that credit, or their contribution in the team or in the company is not recognized by either their peers or their managers, reporting managers, or whatever. So
Hmm.
how what How would you say that engineers can work on this, like ensure that their contributions are recognized?
I think one way of getting noticed in organization is that in organizations, there is a lot of critical projects which keep happening, which are critical to the organization, you
Hmm.
know. So you should raise your hand. You should raise your hand and try to be part of these projects because the project itself is so crucial and the management and senior management focus is there. So
Hmm.
anybody who is going to work on those projects will get visibility, right?
Right.
So you must take that extra effort to beyond your routine work and your job description for which you are there. Because working in projects means additional effort. You'll have to do your work, you'll have to do the work required in the project also, because they're typically cross-functional. There'll be reviews. So one way is volunteer, raise your hand, get into some of these cross-functional projects. Uh, the second would be try to be nowadays there are a lot of forums, industry forums, where a lot of industry awards are given, industry competitions happen. Like for
Yeah.
example, CII, etc., have a lot of forums of
Hmm.
for cross-functional teams and kaizens and many such industry forums are there. So try and represent your organization in some of these forums. You know. So what happens is that you learn in the process and you also get a platform to represent your organization.
Exactly.
And thirdly, I would say LinkedIn is a very good platform.
Hmm.
You must read and keep yourself abreast of topics which is relevant to your domain, and whatever your organization is doing in that area. I mean, as part of sharing what you are doing in that domain and for your organization, if you regularly keep posting and sharing your thought leadership in that domain in which you are there,
Hmm.
and make something. A lot of people tend to go overboard of posting every second day, third day, and after some time people start ignoring what they're writing. So
Yeah.
instead of not going that route, but at least once in a week or 10 days or 2 3 times in a month, I mean, write something tangible, sensible, and impactful in your domain.
Hmm.
So then people start noticing what you're doing, right? I think these are a couple of things that people can do.
And yeah, personal branding is very important, I believe,
Yeah.
for, I mean, whether
Because once you start representing your organization and forums, once you start contributing to organizational projects, I think the rub-off effect of your personal branding comes, because then
Hmm.
you also have content and material to speak about on a LinkedIn.
Yeah,
Then you're talking from what you've done actually, and not some theoretical mumbo jumbo.
correct. What would you say is the role of mentorship for engineers? So, how can they find the right mentors, and what qualities or what skills should they particularly look for in a mentor?
I would say mentorship is important. I think it helps you settle into the organization well, and also to also kind of someone to have you like your friend, philosopher, and guide.
Mm.
Uh, some organizations, large organizations, do provide a mentor to every new joiner from campus. They call it a mentoring program or a buddy program. But
Mm.
even if they don't have it, I would say you should look for a mentor yourself. The person ideally should be someone who is of like you, from an engineering college, maybe 3 4 years older to you, not too young, not too old. Someone who has been through your journey and
Mm.
today is probably in a team leader kind of a role, who is rated well in the system, who the management and other colleagues and peers look at someone who as someone who's credible, someone who has well respected, someone seen as someone who has contributed and earned his stripes, his
Mm.
or her stripes, and someone who seems like a future organizational leader. You know?
Yeah,
So if you can get hold of somebody like that, like a role model, and like many times you may find people of your own alumni also in your this thing, that will be ideal. But if you can
Yeah.
find somebody like this who can, with whom you can, talk, reflect, they can also tell you about the organization, the way it operates, the values, the culture, what works here, what doesn't work here, you know. So I think that would be the approach I would suggest to somebody if there is no structured mentoring being provided by the organization.
And what we know the field is obviously constantly evolving. So what future trends do you foresee, and how can the young engineers or who are just entering the industry or very new to the industry prepare for it?
Look, one is I would say, look, all of us. I mean, it's become too cliched now, but all of us have heard this term called VUCA. Okay. Then it got replaced by the term Bani also. And so
Yeah.
essentially, we all live in this world which is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous, right? There is no shying away from this. And and one of the reasons it has become like that is, I mean, one is of course we had COVID and we had a lot of global macroeconomic turmoil and things like that.
Hmm.
But something that is also adding to this very clearly is this whole thing around digital transformation. Now, digital transformation is a boon and a bane. Okay. While during COVID, there was a huge pivot towards digital transformation by organizations because there's a lot of merit in, even in our own organizations, when we had to track people who have COVID and who have taken vaccinations, who have not taken vaccinations. A lot of
Yeah.
organizations developed their own app because in a work from home or remote situation, it was very impossible to figure out who is doing what, who needs what help, who needs oxygen cylinder.
Hmm.
So the technology really helped us in connecting with people and getting what is going on. E-commerce went through the roof, and a lot of the tech companies hired like there is no tomorrow. Remote working was exploding, but when normalcy came, you know,
Hmm.
and things are going back to normal, a lot of the tech companies, both in India and overseas, I mean, they laid off people left, right, and center,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So we need to understand that we are living in a very volatile and uncertain world today. Okay. There is no guarantee. I mean, say 20, 30 years ago, the world was very templated. You could
Hmm.
also build careers which are very templated. 3 years you will do this, 3 years you will do this. It is not like that. I mean, I don't
Hmm.
even roles which have formed newly, whether they will exist 3 years down the line, we don't even know that. So one is be very, very prepared for adapting to a very disruptive and transformational work.
Hmm.
So, so I would say, like Alvin Toffler said, learning, unlearning, and relearning constantly
Yeah.
is because what you were taught in your engineering college will become irrelevant in 2 years, if not earlier,
Yeah.
right? So therefore, the context of your job, what can disrupt the way I work. Like if you're in a manufacturing setup, there is this huge talk about Industry 4.0. Okay,
Hmm.
today people are talking about connected factory, machines talking to each other. Okay,
Yeah.
data analytics coming from machines themselves. The way you do troubleshooting 5 years back is not the way you do troubleshooting today, right? So there's a lot of focus on data analytics, data being the new oil. So you need to constantly keep thinking that how is the way the organization is working getting disrupted, and how do I keep myself relevant,
Correct.
and what do I need to do to upskill myself on being relevant. And
Hmm.
today it is if you keep waiting for the organization to upskill you, the organization is running after their own challenges of managing the dynamics.
Hmm.
Very large organizations may provide you an LMS and a courseware and things like that, but the onus of learning should be on you. The
Yeah.
organization provides a platform, great. Otherwise, you do your own research with your mentors and other people and see what disruption can make me irrelevant, and
Correct.
how do I gear up for that. I think
Right.
that is something. So if you're not constantly on this thought of keeping myself relevant and keeping myself at the cutting edge of the new change which is going to come,
Hmm.
and keep building my learning agility. I mean, it's
Yeah,
not just about learning, but you need to learn. You need to learn what to learn.
right.
That is what I would call learning agility. So if you have that kind of a mindset and a thinking, you will enjoy your work, you will stay relevant, and you will be ahead of the curve of the next change that is going to come.
Yeah, that's true. And what advice do you have for engineers who are considering a transition in their career, whether it's moving to a different industry or a different discipline, or even non like transitioning to a non-technical role?
Um, I would say if you want to, I will handle the last question first. If they're thinking of getting into a non-technical route, if they feel that
Mm,
engineering is something they don't want to pursue, right? Or it's something it's not they're not. It probably they did engineering because of whatever reason, but they don't seem to be enjoying this role and they want to do something else. So then I would say this decision they should come to a conclusion very quickly in the first 1 or 2 years of their career.
mm,
And if they are very clear about it, then either they can look for techno commercial roles within the organization. Like for example, you don't want to do a hardcore engineering work like in an R&D or a manufacturing or a quality and things like that, or a testing kind of work. You can look at techno commercial roles like procurement.
mm,
Because procurement will require you to do a buying role, but you need to have a technical understanding.
yeah.
Or you may do a service role.
Mm,
Maybe you're in an industry which makes products, and this thing which needs to be sold and needs to be serviced and supported. you know so these are what I would typically call techno commercial or techno administrative roles. They are not purely technical roles. So
mm,
you could use your engineering knowledge, but you are not doing the engineering just helping you, but the role is beyond technical.
yeah.
The the other thing you can do is you can do an MBA. I mean, then of course, once you get into a job, preparing for a MBA entrance exam and preparing for a good B school takes a lot of effort. You have a job to do. You have studies also to do. But there are
Mm,
people who do it. It's not that people haven't done it, right?
yeah.
So then we can do that. But I would say don't live with the dichotomy for too long. After
Mm,
engineering, after having joined an organization, in the first 1 year itself, you'll have clarity whether there's something you want to pursue, or
yeah.
you like it, it's your passion, or you'd like to change gears. So if you've decided to change gears, then do it fast in the first 1 or 2 years. That's what I would say. And industry is again, I would say, a matter of your own interest. Like again, in engineering, depending on uh, whether you're a mechanical guy or electrical guy, I mean, I'm not talking of the software engineers and those kind of people, because they have a different kind of working with IT companies and large companies.
Mm,
There again, there's a lot of disruption today, because AI and generative AI has started replacing pure coders
yeah.
overnight, right? So that's why this volume hiring, which was the industry used to do in that segment, I'm clearly seeing that it's going to get disrupted very major. So they also need to figure out their this thing. But staying with core engineering, then you need to be clear of what is the kind of industry you want to work in. You want to
Mm,
work in an automobile kind of an industry. You want to work with a white goods or appliance kind of an industry, or you want to work in a heavy engineering kind of an industry. What is your passion? What is your interest? And
mm,
what is the kind of and accordingly you should start navigating your career if you want to make an industry switch. But again, it goes back to what we said initially. Have a lot of clarity, like
yeah.
what how I want to navigate my career for the next 30-35 years.
Mm,
What is my calling, what is my passion, what interests me, because many people tend to make career moves becoming a victim of FOMO, you know because there is this herd going towards this. Let me also jump into that bandwagon, or somebody is paying more money, so let me chase that.
yeah.
So it's a very knee jerk, short term, not thought through decisions, is what I would say. But switching away from engineering to a very more managerial, more non-technical role, if that clarity one should get in the first 1 or 2 years, and then you should very very focused way start re-navigating your career according.
Hmm.
Sometimes organizations internally also help you. If you
Yeah.
reach out to your HR or your boss and you say, look, I don't want to do a pure technical role like a product engineering or a R&D or a testing. I want to. So there are internal job opportunities, there are IJPs. And typically if you're a GT route person, companies prefer you also because you know the industry, you know the company, you know the culture. So in the initial parts of your career, you can even try it through internal job posting options also.
Correct. So I have just one last question for you. Given your career and the numerous professionals that you have guided in their careers, what is one piece of advice you would give to engineers today?
I would say, first of all, be very clear that we live in a very unpredictable world.
Hmm.
Uh, it is going to be a era of substantive disruption every 2 to 3 years. So be prepared for it,
Hmm.
and the only way to get over it is constantly learning, unlearning, and relearning. Be
Yeah.
prepared, okay. And secondly, I mean, the other things I would say is there are a couple of uh, C's, words starting with C. First is clarity.
Hmm.
Clarity on what you want out of your career, what you want to pursue, what is the kind of industry you want to be, and what is your game plan for it.
Hmm.
You should have total clarity of thinking on how you want to navigate your career.
Yeah.
Second, I would say the second C I would say is connect. Connect with people. Connect with people. Connect with peers. Connect with your seniors. Connect with other role models. Connect with other agencies, and start
Hmm.
developing a perspective on your industry, the kind of career you want to pursue, and start gathering knowledge and information and connect and develop a perspective. Third, I would say is collaborate. Today there is no way anybody can do anything themselves all alone.
Yeah.
So collaborate with other people, collaborate with other organizations, agencies, learning platforms, and start working towards that roadmap that you have in front of you.
Hmm.
And finally, I would say commit yourself to the path or career that you have chosen for yourself. Put in that effort. Nothing happens on its own.
Yeah.
You know, people talk about luck. I say luck is where effort meets opportunity, right?
Right.
Sheer blind luck happens to very few people. I think you should not be banking
Yeah.
on that. And there are no shortcuts to it. If you're clear, there's the way I want to navigate my career, there's the way I want to run it, then you have
Yeah.
to put in that effort. Because in a such a VUCA kind of an environment, the effort you'll have to put in is much, much more.
Correct.
And lastly, I would say don't put your efforts chasing cash. Put your
Hmm.
efforts chasing capability. Capability will get you cash
Yeah.
and not the other way. Okay. So invest in yourself, especially in the initial couple of years of your career when you are
Hmm.
young. You're still kind of single. You don't have too much of family responsibilities and other things in your this thing. That is the time to kind of build yourself for the future. Those are golden years. Don't waste it. What I would say.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you. This was very insightful. Thank you for giving us your time.
It was my pleasure. I think it's always good to. I mean, in my past, when I was in an active corporate job, campus programs was something I used to run very passionately, and we used to run programs to ensure that all these youngsters settle into the organization well, stay, build careers. So there's a topic of great passion and interest, and I should thank you for giving me an opportunity to share my thoughts. And you people are doing a wonderful job, and I hope you're able to help and add value to a lot of these youngsters coming out of colleges.
Thank you.
Thank you.